Hello, it's Richard here. Just before the episode starts, a quick reminder that all the complete show notes for this episode, and every other episode for that matter, are sent out every week for free, and you can get a copy at thepublicrelationspodcast.com/subscribe. Or just go to the website, thepublicrelationspodcast.com, and click the link for the newsletter. When you sign up to that, I also send out 2 articles from the PR manual instantly. One on how to write a press release that would have got me paying attention when I ran newsrooms, and the other on using artificial intelligence, AI, for public relations, and some of the things to watch out for. I hope you find those useful, and I hope you find this episode useful too. How do you handle things when you're in charge of public relations for a college and people are calling for your students to be hung because of their behaviour? That's what Michelle Perkins faced, and today I start what I hope is going to be a regular part of this show, where I chat with you, the listeners of this show, about the projects that you're working on today, right now. What are you doing this week? That's what I'm interested in. And I really want to invite you on to come and share what you're learning with all of us listening to this show. Welcome back to the Public Relations Podcast. By the way, if you are not subscribed to the newsletter, you missed a bumper newsletter this week with 3 huge tutorials and articles in it. But fear not. As always, I've put all of this stuff already into the PR manual section. I've changed the name of it on the website. The PR manual section is now called, and if you head to the publicrelationspodcast.com, thepublicrelationspodcast.com, you will find a big button on there which you just literally can't miss. So all the details are in there if you missed the newsletter. Or, of course, you're welcome to subscribe to the newsletter on the website as well. You'll see a link in the menu. So I want to bring this show more to life, okay? It's all well and good me sharing my experience with you. But there's no one way of doing PR. You know that if you're doing this or if you're approaching it, you're going to learn this pretty quick. And so I want to get more people on to get a bigger picture of this stuff. I want you to come on and celebrate your successes, what you're working on today, and what you're learning about what works and what doesn't. There's a section on the website now called Guest. It's pretty obvious what it's for. If you think you'd like to come on, have a check on that. Click on that on the website. Look at the criteria of what I'm looking for, and then reach out to me on LinkedIn. All the details are on that page. So it's guest on the website at thepublicrelationspodcast.com if you'd like to come on and talk about what you're doing. So let me introduce Michelle Perkins. Now, Michelle has been doing PR for actually for quite a few years. She's also been listening to this show for quite a while as well, but she's also an old friend of mine. Full disclosure. We worked together in European politics a good few years ago now, and we were chatting the other day about a few things, just about life generally. But then we got onto PR, and so I thought, okay, look, I want to start getting more people who are doing PR onto this show and discussing things with them. So I said, can we record it? And she agreed. By the way, to provide a bit of context from what you're about to hear, because it's not, I've had to edit some of this out so that I can keep it to time. Michelle is no longer in education, but moved into the pets industry, like dogs and cats. But we met in politics. So here we go. We start off by reminiscing a little bit about the old days when we worked on the Brexit campaign in European politics.
Do you remember the Brexit survey we did? And we were all like,
Yeah.
it's going to say this, this, and this. And it said
Yeah.
completely the opposite.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, just because we think something, it doesn't mean that everybody else thinks it. And it's a prime example of why you need market research.
It's the bubble as well, though, isn't it? Because people always talk about the political bubble, the Westminster bubble, as it's called in the UK, but it's the same whether you're in Washington or whatever. And I think this is a problem that you have in companies as well. It's because people are chatting away to themselves and they're going, oh, people think this. Because you get this psychological sense of, this is what my friends say. It doesn't matter what your friends say. It's completely irrelevant. It's what your customers say. On the night of the Brexit vote, and I was in Brussels that night, and there were people, shall we say, from one side of the campaign who were absolutely convinced that their people had messed it all up, and then they got the result they wanted.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating time. I've got to ask you, though, tell people what you do now.
It's just probably still just as busy. So I work for a pet company now, projects and marketing manager. So we've got 7 brands: pet microchipping, pet trackers, pet lost and found. So with 7 brands comes 7 lots of social media accounts. So you're talking 21 accounts, 28 accounts in some places.
And are these different target people that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, so like the lost and founds will be people who have obviously lost and found their pets, or people who are trying to help people out. The tracking businesses, obviously for people trying to keep their pets safer, so the little tracking thing goes around the collar. And then you've got pet microchipping as well.
Was this something that you knew much about before, or did you have to just
Knew
drop
nothing.
yourself?
I knew nothing about pets at all before. So obviously I'd worked in politics with you. I'd worked
Yeah.
in the education sector.
Yeah.
I was in the education sector for about 15 years. And funny, when people say don't work with pets or children, I've done both now. And so I've got nowhere else to go, really. I've done it all, if I'm honest: pets,
Oh,
politics,
it's
and
funny, isn't it?
education.
It's like, so you're moving from sort of high level European politics to education to pets, and it's just. I mean, I'm curious. How much of a crossover have you found? Are the principles the same? Do you think, or do you think you've
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
rethink your head to get into those spaces?
No, I think the principles are the same, not with the politics, but with the education and pets, definitely. You've got high intensity people looking after someone else. So you've got parents worried about their
Yeah.
kids. They're the ones that you've got to appeal to more so than the children. The children just go where their friends say. And so you've got to appeal to them on a different level. And then with pets, you've just got the one pet parent, but you're appealing to them again on another level because they can't ask their pet. So
Mm.
there's an element of worry from a lot of pet parents. How do I keep that animal safe?
How are you applying the same techniques then that you used in education?
So day to day would be, well, I'd say week to week, because there's different things that I do on a day to day basis. There's social
Mm.
media. You have to go in, reading comments. You have to make sure people are happy, because if they've made a positive comment, great. If they've made a negative comment, you want to contact that person. You want to help them out. That's my place to say to the customer service team, you need to give them a call. So you've got transactional side of it. So like the email automations, welcome to business, and
Yeah, the actual
here's your chip
technical
number.
process, and yeah.
Yeah, the technical stuff.
The thing that
After that
strikes me,
comes in.
right, is I know we've talked about this before, but it's like, to me, PR is not just a. I think some people still categorize PR as being that you send some press releases to the press and that's it. And it's like, no, no,
Mm,
no, 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 it's not. I gave a talk last year to a customer service conference about how to apply PR techniques to customer service.
yeah,
Because to me, PR is actually from the point where you make first contact, it's all the way through to
yeah.
the last time you ever talk to them. Because PR techniques now, there's so much marketing out there. Now you've got to build relationships with people.
Yeah.
And that isn't just done through sending out a press release to the press. It's about every part of your business thinking as a PR person, trying to create a connection.
I completely agree. And I think it goes back, like you said, to the customer journey. So if I go back and look at, say, like work when I was working at the colleges, so I was head of marketing and events, a college group for quite some time. And the flows were for an annual process. So you'd think in the beginning of the year, you've got the new courses they're launched, you do
Mm.
the soft PR where, come to our open events, come and see what's going on. It'd be great to see you. And then you have the interview stages. So people are coming in for interviews. So then it's about the experience they receive when they come in. That's marketing as well. The moment they walk into that building or they come for an open event, that's marketing.
Tell us about some of the other projects that you've worked on. Tell us about a case study where you kind of really have managed to generate some kind of real connection with people.
I really enjoy working in education, and it, for me, it was amazing to watch a student walk through the door at the beginning. Hello, miss. What am I doing? Where am I going? That kind of thing. And then to watch them flourish and then watch them leave, go off to university and everything else. What people don't realize is that there's a lot that goes on in that process. One of the colleges I was working at had a really bad reputation at one point, and I knew it wasn't just about getting people to come. It wasn't just about students coming in. So as a college, you have to offer the most up-to-date courses, right? So that they're the ones that people want to come into. But when they had a bad reputation, you've then got the element of the parents, where you're not going there because of X, Y, and Z. And there was a big falling out with the local school. So I knew I needed to build that community. And it wasn't just building the community with the students, it was building it with the parents. So there was third wheel in this, and that was building it with the local community. The college was stuck around houses.
Mhm.
And obviously those people, you see a group of students getting on a bus,
Yeah.
10,
They
15
don't want the
students at one
students there.
time.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah. If
want
you're a
students there.
student, you like it. If you're a person that doesn't have kids, you don't like it, as always. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to build a rapport externally with the local community, and our numbers went up over a 2-year period. The numbers went up, up and up, and within a couple of years, it was the leading college again in the local community. And that wasn't just through social media posts and things like that. That was through
Yeah, I was going to say,
uh,
how did you do it?
yeah. So the social media was a big element. So we'd show them more videos of what's going on in the college, what they can achieve. There were new courses coming out. We were the first to get, some new BTEC levels or that kind of thing to try and entice them. Open evenings were more about getting the parents to meet the head teachers, to be able to sit and talk to teachers, get the full experience, having students there, student ambassadors to have a feel of what's going on in the classes, what it would be like to be a student there. So that's giving them the customer experience before they've become a customer. So that's the pre-entry. So the open events were never walk in, walk round, walk out. They would walk in, they would be greeted. They would then be taken on a tour if they wanted, or they had a map, and they'd be taken around by ambassadors. They could go to different departments. All the departments would be open. There'd be music playing upstairs. There would be, computer games going, everything, there'd be a buzz everywhere, and then I put little things in like free teas and coffees and biscuits, so people would stop. It'd make them stop. It'd make them have a conversation, keep them there longer, make them feel part of the family.
So it's no different, really, in
The
a way, to like going to, a Cadbury's cream egg Easter egg hunt, isn't it? It's about the experience. Well,
It
it
is
is
about
ultimately. It's
experience.
about the experience.
Yeah,
How did
yeah,
you deal with the community though that didn't have kids, that hated having students on their front door?
do you know what? That was really hard, and because I don't work there anymore, I can probably be more honest than if I was working there.
Love
So
it. Spill the beans.
the biggest element was the abuse that the students got online because of their background. So some of them would come from underprivileged areas, and it was very sad to see that some of the comments that we would get. We had a couple of people once mention that we should bring back hanging for the way students act outside of colleges. So I would reply to every single post. I would make a nice reply. I would always stand up for the students. I would never apologize for them because they weren't doing anything wrong. If they were, then obviously we'd pull that up on it. I invited people in to come for teas and coffees, and they would come to the open event, and then they would see the experience and they would have a good experience. And I wouldn't tell the staff who they were, because then it's a bit like when they say Ofsted's coming and everyone brings out the fruit, don't they? It's a similar
Ofsted
sort of thing.
is the government education organisation in the UK.
Sorry, yeah. They're the ones that watch everything.
Yeah, and everyone
So
suddenly starts behaving.
yeah, that's the one. So you don't tell people because they want them to experience it and have a good experience. So it wasn't just about continual engagement. And you saying about press releases. Press releases were actually really important. Good news stories in the newsletter and keeping up the relationships with the local papers was very important because I could send them press releases on a regular basis. This student's done this student's done that, got this award, Jack Petchy, or whatever's going on. And those kind of things as well would support with the local community because they would see that the students aren't everything that they thought that they were. So it was about building an image, basically. It was about building an image, but allowing everyone into that custom journey to see the image before they then came along. And I'm not saying it's perfect because nowhere ever is. It's the same as in any customer, with the pet stuff. Not every customer is always going to be happy, but how you deal with that and how you make them happy with the outcome is what matters, I think, because it's not everyone's cup of tea. Sixth form college isn't everyone's cup of tea. They might want a further education college. So in the UK, you've got sixth form and further education, very different feel.
How did you approach those social media comments though? Because it's like part of you must have seen some of the more abusive ones and kind of got really
Yeah.
angry. And obviously you can't just reply back and go, well, you should be hung too. So how did you, as much as you might like to, how did you sort of approach it? So you saw the comment. What was your kind of process?
With the hanging one, actually, I called the police, if I'm honest,
Mhm.
because I found that as a very, very awful, disrespectful way to talk about anybody, including 16-year-old children
Mhm.
who are just 16-year-old children. But I would reply back with things like, please come to the college. We'd like to meet you, like to go through things with you. We can meet you on a neutral ground. Or if they said there was one that someone said was a big group of people at the bus stop, I said, well, they're all trying to get on the bus. They're all trying to get home, just like you would be if you were trying to get home. Putting a persona to it, really, making it more, trying to make them connect with what I'm saying, trying to make them see the other side. That, yeah, it might be scary to see that many people, but actually, why don't you try And then do you know what would happen? I would get locals say things like, there was this one woman, bless her. Someone said there was a load of kids in front of the bus, and I'd said, look, they're all trying to get on the bus, and yes, it's going to get rowdy because they're all, they're all bantering with each other trying to get on. They don't mean any harm. Another woman comes on and she says, I was waiting for the same bus, and they all moved out of my way and let me get on the bus first. And so you're by answering back, you're giving those kind of people the forum to be positive.
You're giving them
which
permission,
is
aren't you? So that's Michelle Perkins. She'll be back again for a part 2 where we discuss the pressures on her team, where PR is heading, the importance of reading the mood of customers, why having fun on social media works, with a great example of a battle between two large companies fighting in court over a caterpillar. I kid you not. And if you'd like to come on the show, as I say, check out the guest link in the menu at the top of the website, thepublicrelationspodcast.com. Right, it's a long episode this week. Why do I always make them so long? I'll speak to you real soon. Have an absolutely awesome week.